What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Artist of Data Science Open Office Hours. Super excited to have you guys here. Had a super eventful week here at the podcast. Released two great episodes. One was with Brendan Kumarasamy, and that was around how to become a better public speaker. So it's definitely an episode worth checking out. Also released an episode with Carl Gold, who's the chief data scientist at Zora. And that's all about how to fight churn with data. Great episodes. Interviewed a bunch of cool people this week as well. Interviewed Donald Robertson, who wrote How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. Interviewed Jeff Chrysler, who co-wrote a book with Dan Ariely called Dollars and Cents. Also interviewed a person on LinkedIn who I find really interesting, Jonaya Dickball. So that was cool to be able to chat with him, man. The guy's really cool. Yeah, man. So really awesome week here at the podcast, man. So hopefully you guys got an opportunity to check out the episodes this week. Keep an eye out for the episodes that I just mentioned. They'll be coming out in the very near future. Right now, we got Anthony in the house and we got Haseeb, man. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Pretty good.
Thanks.
Right on, man. Happy to have you guys here. What can I do for you, man? You guys got any questions or anything? You guys want to just tell me how your week's been? All right. We got Ashen in the house as well. Nice background, Haseeb. I like that.
I guess
Ashen got the cartoon background. That is awesome.
Rick and Morty.
Nice. Anthony is choosing to remain anonymous. That's all good, man.
No, sorry, because my internet was like shaking up a little bit, so my audio was cracking up.
No worries, man. No worries. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
happy
I just wanted to listen in. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, feel free to listen in, man. Like, if you don't got any questions, no worries. You're more than welcome to sit back, relax. But sometimes people don't have questions, and we're just sitting here chatting, and that's fun as well, man. So feel free to jump in at any time.
So this week, a coworker and I started doing confetti.ai. They have, I don't know how many machine learning interview questions. And we're trying to say if we can answer these questions as consultants, would we be able to, ace a machine learning interview question? Because we're not hobbyists, but we're not experts either. So we're like, all right, we're going to start measuring ourselves. And they have this fantastic 0 to 100 scale. Just keep answering questions. You get explanations. Keep trying. So that's been this week. We did that a couple hours this week. It's been really fun.
That's really cool, man. Confetti.ai.
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the chat.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll make sure I link that to the show notes as well. That's really cool. How are you feeling about those questions?
So we jumped into the math, and it's like, oh wow, we don't know math.
Oh, to like quiz you on actual like math stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Like I graduated grad school 7 years ago, maybe 8, something like that. So I'm very not in touch with the math anymore. I don't even know how much of that I would be able to do right off the top of my dome. But if you give me like 30 minutes to an hour, I could like figure it out. But yeah, I mean, you gotta think about it this way though. Like math, yeah, it's important. It's running under the hood. And there are a lot of elitists out there who say, oh no, you cannot be a data scientist or a machine learning engineer unless you know how to do everything, blah, 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 from ground. Cool. Well, then you cannot be a driver of a automotive vehicle unless you know exactly the mechanism that causes your car to propel forward when you press your foot on the gas pedal. Right? Yeah. To me, that's the same analogy, right? I mean, obviously have some awareness of it. And obviously, if you don't know what's going on under the hood, when you do use it, you will get bad results. And if you get bad results, you're going to get fired. And if you get fired, chances are you won't get hired again. So you'll be pushed out of the field naturally. So the people who don't know the math behind the shit, they're eventually going to not be data scientists or machine learning engineers anymore because they're going to keep fucking up. So it's like natural selection, right? So
yeah, it started. we're starting to get into the point where we're like, all right, we're done with the ML 101 stuff. We've done all the hello worlds. We've run models. We've done, data ingestion. What's the next level that we can take this to? Okay, maybe now's the time we start diving into the math just a little bit. We're not talking, let's start doing proofs and all that. Just, what's behind everything. Just we can start stepping into that.
Yeah, definitely, man. It makes you understand it at a more intuitive level, like a more deeper level. If anything, you'll become better problem solver for it, right? Just having to think through each step. Like, if anything, that was the greatest thing I learned from my very long education in mathematics and statistics, was just how to solve problems and how to not get, like, how to not be presented with a problem and just be like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, that'll be the initial reaction, but I'll figure out what I need to do. I've done harder things than this thing before. So if anything, that's what it's taught me. A shit ton of resiliency and how to solve problems. But yeah, that's good, man. And it's always been helpful for me. When I see an equation, I will translate it to words, right? Like, let's just take a simple equation, right? Like the sigma, capital Sigma, summation, parentheses, xi minus x bar squared over n, right? Okay, you look at that, it's like, that's fucking weird. But you break it down into just simple words. Okay, so I add up all the differences between this value I'm looking at and the average value of all the values here, and then I square it, and then I divide it by how many things I added up, and then I end up with this value, which we call variance, right? So it's very helpful to be able to translate that thing into words. So that would be my advice to you. Got Navya in the house. How you doing?
Hi, Harpreet. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I have Nick with me.
Hey, how's it going, Nick?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. Happy to have you guys here. Welcome to office hours. Dude, this is awesome. We got a proper party going on. I know there's some people from Data Science Dream Job should be joining in soon. But yeah, man, super happy to have you guys. How's your week been?
So far, so good.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. So yeah, dude, I saw that Navya was showing me the Aura Ring project that you got, dude. That was really interesting to see, man.
Yeah, we were just talking about it, and I like it, and I thought there'd be a lot I could do with it, but it turns out there wasn't all that much, because I can explore it, but it's hard to actually finding a value that you can do with the understanding.
You know what would be interesting though, because Aura Ring, like I have not looked at the data at all for Aura Ring, but if you have other wearable devices, right, and you can like tie that data together, right, maybe merge it by timestamp and right, do that, and then couple it with weather data, right?
Weather specifically.
And,
we were talking about weather also.
Yeah, really, that's like, because that's super easy to do, because that's historical data. There will always be weather data on a level of granularity that you could tie back to whatever granularity you have on your ring, and then you could assess the impact of the weather on your fitness habits. And if you have Spotify as an API, you could tie in and see how the music you are listening to impacts your activity levels. Like, there's so much cool, interesting shit that you can do.
think I downloaded my personal data from Spotify, so I have that too. I don't know if it's the same as what's in their API. But in that project, I didn't use weather data, but I'm a bit of a nerd and I collect other cell quantification data. So I tied in like the number of alcoholic drinks I have on my sleep, and whether or not I practice certain things. I took those and converted them into binary, like yes, like 1 or 0, and didn't find any effect, which was a bummer, but I thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the numbers itself, but I've just for the sake of science, I've done this before, where I'll drink an entire bottle of wine just to
Science.
just for science, and see how that impacts my heart rate variability and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah.
You track HRV?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Just to, because it's interesting, because we like, on the surface of it, HRV, heart rate variability, like, you think that you want that to be low, but you want it to be high, which is it's interesting. Yeah.
What made you start tracking that? Because I track that every day also.
just because it's a good indicator, I think, for stress and overall well-being. It's always interesting to see the effect that the meditation period has on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really interesting data.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll take it first thing in the morning when I wake up, and then also when I meditate, I'll track my HRV to see what effect it has, and a lot of times it'll plummet and then it'll spike.
Yeah, what's interesting is, so I was hanging out with Kyle McHugh from Data Science Dream Job. I was hanging out with him in Florida earlier this year. My wife and I went out with him and his wife one night, and he's primarily vegetarian, but he had eaten a steak that one night. And then that's how I heard about the Aura Ring. Is he then showed me the data after eating the steak. He was like, okay, look at my normal stuff and look at what eating the steak did to me. Yeah.
He has an aura.
Yeah. That's where I heard about this thing from.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. But dude, that guy's like super, his like resting heart rate's in like the mid 30s. I was like, yeah, I was like, man, you're super, super healthy.
That's insane.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting to see that. That's where I got interested. I was like, oh shit, let me track what happens to me. And made my wife get me this for our 5th anniversary. Yeah. But I was surprised to see how plasticky it was. I was expecting something. Yeah. Should have spent the extra couple $100 for the titanium one, I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize it would be as plasticky as it is until I got it.
Yeah. But yeah, cool, man. Well, nice to have you guys here. Enough about the Aura Ring. If anybody has questions, Aura Ring should sponsor this episode. I'm gonna
just
actually.
I was gonna say that we were actually hoping to have Nick's resume reviewed today. We can do it when everyone's gone through their questions, because we've already taken a lot of time. But
we
were hoping to get that reviewed. But we'll hang
out. Yeah, definitely, absolutely, yeah. But yeah. Fun fact: the CEO of Aura Ring, his name is also Harpreet.
Yep.
Nice.
He's my friend on LinkedIn, so I should ask him if he wants to sponsor this particular episode. But yeah, definitely. If nobody has questions, then we can get to your resume review. But we'll see if we got Salim in the house and Anthony, Ashen, Haseeb. If you guys got questions, let me know.
Here for the ride.
Just hanging out, man. Right on.
Hi. Yeah. I just joined, and I was kind of I was gonna join from my house, but I couldn't get out from my work. And I don't know if it was already mentioned. It's my first time, and I'm planning to get into data science on my next career planning. So it came across online. I mean your company. So is it like self-paced with mentor, or how does that work? Is there any live teaching as well included, or?
Oh, you're talking about Data Science Dream Job?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Data Science Dream Job, it's a mentorship platform. So Navya here is one of our students here, so I'll have her chime in later. But pretty much the way Data Science Dream Job works is our goal is to get you your first job in data science, right? So that doesn't matter if you're transitioning from a outside career or you're in a data adjacent role already trying to become a data scientist. So we have a clearly defined roadmap for you, right? And that roadmap will, because there is a lot of noise out there on the internet. Everybody is talking about how to break into data science, right? And it gets very confusing, very overwhelming. But we've got a battle-tested roadmap that we've had for over 2.5 years, distilling down which core competencies you would need to have success in a data science position, like breaking in, right? So like all of that stuff, yeah, you'd have to self-teach. You'd have to do all that stuff yourself. But we have office hours. So this is my open office hour for my podcast. But for Data Science Dream Job throughout the week, I have 4 office hours, an hour and a half each. And during those office hours, people will come up with questions, whether it's working on a project, resume review, take-home assignment, just whatever. And I'll help them through that, right? And then every month, we have at least one technical session. And these technical sessions, like, they're geared towards helping you be successful as a data scientist. And I say technical, but even though it's not fully always technical, right? Like, for example, this month I did a lesson. It was 2 weeks ago. I did a lesson on, I forgot what the topic was, but it was a good topic. But the month before that, I did a lesson on how to deploy a model. And the month before that, or rather after that, I did a lesson on how to evaluate your model once it's in production. I've done lessons on linear algebra, statistics, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what that pretty much is. So we also have an active Slack community where you can ask questions and stuff like that. So yeah, full on mentorship platform. You get access to myself as well as 4 other mentors, and we just help you throughout your process. So yeah, that's what data science dream job is in a nutshell. So I joined data science dream job myself as a student, and that was like 2 years ago, I think, maybe over 2 years ago, like July 2018 is when I joined data science dream job. And it's literally the best thing that has ever happened to me. So I vouch for the program 100%. I wouldn't have joined on as a mentor if I didn't believe in it either.
What is the average time period of your participants finishing the whole process, like starting from joining the course resources and getting a job?
So it depends on where you are in your journey, but realistically, man, if you work hard and you put in the effort, you can learn everything you need to learn. Not everything, but you can learn the vast majority of what you need to learn to get into a data science role within 6 months. Like, it doesn't take that long to upskill, especially if you're diligent in your self-education. And that's for multiple reasons, right? One of the core competencies in any data science role is the ability to program, right? And writing code and programming is what's called a kind learning environment. You get feedback immediately on where you messed up, right? Obviously, you'll have to decode the stack trace to find out where your error was and whatnot. But you can learn quickly in that type of environment where you're getting constant feedback. Not only that, like the math stuff and the stat stuff, you can collide that together with programming so that you're learning 2 skills at the same time, right? Now, if you're learning math stuff and you're learning programming stuff, now you add in the project, you add in some real live data. Now you've got expertise, or not expertise, but good experience building out a project end to end, starting from question to data to hypothesis to, you know, the entire pipeline, defining it, discovering, deploying, you know, the entire data science process. So you could do all of that in 6 months and have like an immersive experience and know enough to get a job in data science in 6 months for sure. You won't know everything. I've been a statistician, actuary, data scientist now for almost 10 years, and I still don't know everything. And I never will, which is why I love data science, but you'll know enough to get the first job. But let me ask you this, man, like, what brings you to data science? Like, why do you want to be a data scientist? Salim.
Yeah, it's all about my long period career planning, especially on the health field. I have some works in my mind, projects which really needs to be get involved with the data science, AI, machine learning, and so on. And I'm like, I have some options right now. I'm applying to like biomedical informatics. That includes some sort of health data management as well. And on the other hand, I'm like considering these boot camps where I like so that brings my next question as well. Like what makes like after completing the whole course and working with the mentor, like what attracts the data science jobs, or like what can I put on my resume that attracts the data science positions?
I mean,
on my
the biggest thing that's gonna, like, the biggest thing you put on your resume if you don't have a data science role is not a certificate. It's not what courses you took. It's a tangible project. So that is the biggest thing you can put on your resume that will greatly increase your probability of even getting an interview. So the project is the biggest thing you could do to have an impact, for sure.
Okay, and you have that on your hand, right? Like the project's real.
Yeah, we have example projects for sure that will show you what a good project consists of, but they're meant to serve not, you know, as a project for you just to take and put on your resume to pass off as your own, right? It's a blueprint. Like, it'll show you exactly, like,
just a blueprint. I mean,
so it's a blueprint. You'll look at this project and say, okay, now I know exactly what my project should look like. Then you can work on your project, and then you can come to my office hours multiple times a week with questions like, oh shit, I'm trying to do this and I'm stuck, can you help me? And then I'll try to help you if I can help you. If not, we'll get your question answered because we have such a huge community. But yeah, so we have blueprints for projects, and if you need feedback on, and you know, all majority of us are hiring managers, right? So like, I'm the head of a data science department, so I've hired people, I've interviewed hundreds of people. I've looked at probably 1,000 different projects at this point, quite literally. So I know what to look for, and I know what's gonna get you hired and what's gonna get your resume tossed in the trash. So you get that added benefit. And then obviously John, Sebastian, Chris, Lediona is also lead of a data science team. And we all have different areas of expertise, right? So for me, it's statistics. Lediona is NLP. Chris is more of the business side. John Sebastian, he's just good at everything. And then there's Kyle, who's the mastermind behind it all.
Yeah, so quick question regarding the 6-month period you mentioned earlier. So could you like maybe just give a few examples of like job titles of what people can expect after 6 months? So, you know, data science is pretty broad. So like, after 6 months of putting work into learning whatever it is. Yeah.
So data science is like, it's a huge field, right? So yeah, there have been there's been a lot of people who they've gotten their first job straight up data scientist. But there's also posts, like I'm just looking through a success post. Somebody had a job of business intelligence engineer. Somebody had a job of data analyst, ETL engineer. Somebody had a job of data analyst again. And those are the only ones that stand out. There's data science, healthcare data scientist.
Myself, data developer after, like 6 months.
Yeah, data roughly. Developer. Yeah, that's almost like a data engineer-ish position. I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like DevOps and an engineer.
Yeah, which is, that role is going to blow up in the next, couple of years, because that's like the most important part. And that's, in my experience, what I've noticed, probably one of the biggest areas of concern for companies is getting data into the hands of people who can use it to make decisions.
I think someone had a question in the chat.
Oh man, it's Cow Cub.
Hey, Harpreet, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Cow Cub's one of our students at Data Science Dream Job. Cow Cub, I see Cow Cub more than I see my friends. So see him pretty much every day. He's officially one of my good friends now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you for the honor. Yeah. So, two of my recruiter reached out to me for the jobs that I applied to. Well, they said that I think I sent you that thing. So they said that the role is on a hold, but they wanted to talk to me. Before that, they want to know what is the target compensation. What are a couple? What is the second one? What are a couple must haves?
Okay, so I'm just looking at Slack at the message you sent me. I'm just going to pull this up real quick. So they're talking about a role that is, they've got a few questions for you. Question 1, what is your target compensation for your next opportunity? Question 2, what are a couple of must-haves? So for target compensation, man, so anytime you have the opportunity to put out a number at the first, that is the golden opportunity, right? Because in negotiation and persuasion, there is this concept called anchoring, right? So I'm gonna come back to your actual question, but there have been some numerous studies on this: behavioral science, behavioral economic studies. One of which is they would fill up a jar filled with jelly beans, right? And they'd go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, do you think there are over or under 6,000 jelly beans in this jar?" Right? And they do that, and they average out the number of jelly beans people thought there was, right? Because after they'd ask, is there over or under, then they'd be asked, okay, how many do you think there are, right? Sure. And then there'd be a group of people where they'd go and say, hey, do you think there are over or under 1,500 jelly beans? Okay, how much do you think there are, right? The results were surprising because just by priming somebody, by giving them a higher number before asking them what they thought, that would pull up the average estimate by a significant amount, right? Okay. So this is the anchoring effect in action, right? So it happens to all humans, right? Like if nobody here knows my name, right? I mean, knows my age. I mean, maybe you do know my age, but if I was to like, hey, am I over or under 45, right?
No, you are not.
But yeah, so that's like the thing, right? So if I was to split people up and I say, am I over or under 25? You know, and then if they say, oh, you're over, then I ask them the number, it'll be lower than if I ask somebody, am I over or under 50? And they said lower, right? Lower. So this is that concept, the anchoring effect, right? So if you have an opportunity to put out your number for the first round, right? So now you should make your number as high as reasonably possible, right? And that number should be whatever salary you would be happy with, the lowest salary you would be happy with, plus 30%, right?
Okay.
Right. And you can preface it like this, right? I mean, there's one of two ways you could do it, right? One way is you can respond to that first bullet point and say something along the lines of, you know what, at this point, I'm just looking for a opportunity to get to know the company, to get to know the team, to make sure that we like each other, that we, you know, that your work is interesting. So I don't want to ruin the opportunity of getting to know you guys by throwing out a number that's too high, right?
Okay.
That's one way you could do it. Alternatively, you can just give them the number, right? So it depends on how you want to play it. So in this case, because this particularly says the role is on hold, right? So role's on hold. So I mean, you might as well just tell them what number you want, because it doesn't matter, right? Like you can't control when the role does or does not come off hold.
What do they mean the role is on hold? So they are not, so the application filled up, is that what they meant?
No, it means at one point in time, this role was open, but due to circumstances within the company, the role is no longer being actively pursued for filling.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then the second question here, a couple of your must-haves. I mean, I don't even know what couple, like must-haves for what? There's a lot of shit that I must have. But I guess they mean with respect to the working environment, right? So if you say a couple must-haves, just say, oh, I would love to have a certain type of laptop, right? Maybe you like a Mac. Make sure you say, okay, well, I'm more comfortable working on Mac, so that would have to be a must-have for me because I'm only going to be able to deliver maximum value if it's in a computing environment that I'm super comfortable and familiar with, right? So that would be like a must-have for me.
Okay.
Or if not Mac, then at least give me administrator rights so I can download WSL onto my machine.
Okay. Okay.
So, must-haves, I would say that's in respect to the work environment. So what must you have to make you happy at work?
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I need a Mac because, I need a very efficient Mac. Yeah, that was one of the target I was hoping for.
Yeah. When I was, so this week was my 1-year anniversary at my current role. And when I was negotiating with them, after I topped out on the salary, like I negotiated a laptop and I was like, all right, well, I would need a i9 with 64 gigs of RAM, and they obliged. So,
ooh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Work anniversary.
Yeah. That machine is a beast.
Yeah, I mean, I got like 3 or 4 response today, and
I told you it's just a numbers game. Because CalCup guys, for you guys, Cal goes and coming office hours with me quite consistently for a very long time. He applied to over 70 jobs in 2 weeks, and it's just a 2-week period. He was, a bit down because he wasn't getting responses as quickly as he was anticipating him getting responses. But the thing is that there's always a lag period before the time that you apply for a job and the time you get called back, because how companies operate is that they will have a job posting up and have a window for which that job posting will be up. And once that window expires, they take all the resumes that have either passed the initial screen by HR or were referrals, and then the hiring team, whether it's just one senior data scientist or a senior data scientist and a manager, will spend maybe a day going through all those resumes. But that day might not happen for 2 weeks after the job posting was closed, right? And then once they have decided, okay, these are the candidates that we want to bring on, now it's a matter of, okay, well, coordinate with the HR, like, right, these are days that I have open on my schedule, right? So there's always that delay from the time you apply. There's a lot of shit that needs to happen for you to even get brought in for an interview, and that shit has nothing to do with you. It's just processes. So now you're probably all that is catching up with you. All those.
By the way, Harpreet, 2 days ago on Wednesday morning, one of the guys sent me a request on LinkedIn named Marcelo Binez. He is a partner from Microsoft, and I responded him, and he, like, after accepting his request, after 5 minutes he sent me a request. Hey Kakop, thanks for the connection. What is your Power BI skills? I told him I learned Power BI this year and I know how to get my job done in Power BI. I have never taken any exam or anything, but I know how to wrangle the data, shape the data, pivot or unpivoting column, those kind of thing. Would you like to talk about more or anything? Like, he's seeing my message. Then I followed up with him after today. He also saw it, but he's not responding or anything. Should I bother sending him another message or?
No, I mean, you can't control whether or not somebody responds to you. Like,
right.
When you sent him the first follow-up, did you just say like hi, or did you like make it a thought out message? Because if all you did was say hi, then I'm gonna like digitally reach my hand into the screen and smack you, right? Don't just send hi, right? Don't just follow. Right?
No, when I sent the follow-up message, I said, "Hi, I hope I was able to explain my skills as you asked for. But I would love the opportunity to talk to you in person if you have some time. Uh, I'm looking forward to hearing from you." That's it.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, if you do follow up with them next, like you can't just make the follow up all about me, right? Like if
Right.
you want somebody, if you want to engage somebody in a conversation, then like look and see what has he liked or interacted with on
Right.
LinkedIn, right?
Right.
And
Right.
maybe make that as a basis of conversation. Did he comment on something, and did he leave an insightful comment? Be like, hey, dude, that comment you said about that thing, that was really insightful because this is what I was thinking. What do you think, right?
Okay. Okay.
So it's called making conversation. So make conversation and don't make it all about you, because
Okay. All right.
people have their own problems to deal with. You know what I mean? They
Right.
don't want to be bothered by your problems. I mean,
Okay.
in general,
Uh,
that's what it is.
people send some crazy message in LinkedIn. I didn't know that. There was a guy named Mohammed Bilal Jamil. He sent me a request and I saw that he, he posted that he is a senior data analyst at this company. He worked for 5 years. But then when I accepted his request, he's like, "Hey Kaukab, can we do interview practice with each other? I am also looking for a job." I was like, "Sure, okay."
All right.
So what if, huh?
Well, I have to now edit that guy's name out and everything from this podcast, Kalka, because that's confidential information. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know. I mean, that's fine, dude. Like, if somebody wants to mock interview with you, then
Yeah, I said sure.
do it. Like, build
Connections.
connections. Yeah, help people out. Like, that's probably the best thing you do is just help people out. Nobody. I mean, in general, nothing ever bad happened by helping somebody out. In
That's exactly.
general, I mean, there are extreme edge cases, but let's not think about those. But yeah, if you don't have any other questions, I will open it up for more questions. Oh yeah,
All right. Thank
somebody.
you, Harpreet. Yep.
Yeah, feel free to hang out, man.
Yep, of course.
Yeah. So if you somebody wanted a resume review, I forgot who it was. Must be, yes, it was Navya. Yes.
No, it was Navya. Yeah, I think it was Nick. Yeah.
It's actually Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were still editing it, and I guess we should be ready in a few minutes.
Yeah, a quick question for you. Two quick questions on resumes in the 21st century. Do you think that it's okay to have it go onto the second page?
I mean, they say one page per decade, right? So you have to think of it like this. This is literally the process that I've gone through the last few times I've been hiring. There will be a shit ton of resumes for one position, right? Hundreds, sometimes thousands of resumes for one position, right? And I have to go through all of them to find somebody to potentially bring on and talk to about even more, like, talk to more in depth. So you have to make it easy for me to quickly look at your resume and say, oh shit, okay, cool. This guy looks like he first can do the job and looks like he's done interesting stuff. Let me bring him in and talk to him, right? So it's easy to do that when the resume is easy to read and not just like blocks of text, right? Like I'm not like there are days when I want to go read a blog post and I'm in the mood to read a block of text, but now I need to go through a fucking 1,000 of these resumes and find somebody to talk to more in depth. So one page is nice because I'm assuming that you are able to distill down complex topics such as the work that you've done in such a way that I'm able to look at it and be enticed within 10 to 15 seconds. That says a shit ton about your communication skills, right? And it shows that you have respect for the reviewer's time as well, right? So
yeah, because I'm not currently in an actual data scientist role. I'm a technical solutions engineer, it's called. And I've done data science projects at the company. I've also done my own. And so I'm now including a personal projects section.
Yeah.
And if I include that, I have to sacrifice either it's going to go onto the second page, or I have to seriously consolidate my work experience and only have a single position on
so
there.
For your work experience, right? So think of it like this instead. Think of, from your work experience that is not related to data science, can you trim down stuff that is non-data science-y? Right?
Well, yeah, I've trimmed it down. I've only highlighted the data science-y stuff on it. And of course I can talk to other stuff too, but it's like 3 or probably 4 or 5 bullets from my most recent position. But then if I add the project section, it's going to be a bunch more and probably can't fit that plus.
So if you have like I mean, I'm sure once you pull up the resume, we'll look at it. But if you have like let's pull it up. Let's look at it. But if you have like prior work experience that's like, you know, like librarian in grad school or like something like that, then you can probably keep that off the resume. Like that doesn't matter. But here, we're going to pull it up and I'm going to describe this as much as possible for the people listening on the podcast, because I know there's...
No, this is the wrong version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just say this, just as some consideration. So if you have a lot of work experience and that work experience isn't technical, like we just mentioned, like the librarian or whatever grad school position you had or undergrad position you had, those you can just simply leave off your resume, right? And you can have them on your LinkedIn for sure, right? But just keep the work experience that is going to make it easy for me, the hiring manager, to connect what you've done to the work that I need to get done. Right? So as much as that is possible.
Yeah, that's good advice. Here it is.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one.
Another thing, while you guys load that up, another thing is like if you have like a ton of projects that you worked on for a particular role, like you don't necessarily need to have all of that on the job. Your resume. You can have like an opening sentence that says, as a data and technology consultant, I had the opportunity to work on several projects, some of which include the following, right? So by including that line, you can just keep in 1 or 2 bullet points and make those the bullet points that are most relevant to data science. But if you're in an interview situation, you could talk about stuff that is not on your resume. Like for sure you can do that. So now we have your resume up.
You see, is it too small?
The format looks great. No, it looks good. Looks like you're originally from San Francisco.
Yeah, how do you get that? Oh, I guess
415. Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Sacramento, so I know those.
On the area. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So just looking at this first experience, March 2018 to present.
What do you think of the tagline, first of all?
Oh, full stack data scientist, researcher, solutions engineer. That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Only thing is like I have zero clue what a solutions engineer is.
Right? Yeah.
That's a good point, you know?
Yeah.
So I actually had a lengthy conversation with Nick about his experience. And what stood out to me was he can solve any problem. And I realized solutions engineer was really, it was apt in describing what he's capable of. Like two things stood out to me. Like he can solve problems, although it's not technically a part of his job description. He's capable of figuring out solutions in whatever form they need to be, data science or not. And secondly, his curiosity. He's curious about different things. And I wanted to include the word researcher to convey that.
I would just swap out solutions engineer for problem solver, like straight up. Like it's like
yeah,
it's
that's a good way of putting it.
it's like
problem solver.
less, problem solver. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I was originally hired as at the start of my work as both a sales engineer and a support engineer, and a big portion of my role was also to look around and see what I can do to improve the processes in our department and the company as a whole. So that's also where I've been able to take on data science or apply data science, and it doesn't really fit squarely under either bracket. So they said that instead of being a sales or solutions engineer, or sales or support engineer, I should be a solutions engineer.
Yeah. So,
but most people haven't heard of it, and it sounds obvious to me because I've had that as my tagline for a while, but for most people, it isn't.
Yeah. So I would like these 4 bullet points under this job here. Like I noticed they say Zendesk a couple of times. Now, let me ask you: these bullet points, are they standalone projects, or are these all bullet points for like, can you consolidate some of them into one project? I guess like these 2 in the middle that say use Zendesk to model and create a Zendesk app that does Like, was this the same project, or was this 2 different projects?
Totally different. One is like developing an app, and the other is clustering and finding trends and ticket data.
Okay. So I would, go on. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Different question. Before I forget, I suggested to Nick that he includes his website as well, his blog here. I don't know if this, like, since he's applying for a data scientist role, and this is,
it's an unrelated blog.
Like, it's unrelated, but I think it's cool that he has.
Definitely include that, because like what you could see from the blog is just your communication ability, your ability to.
And I have 85 posts on it, so it shows that I've been sticking with it for a while.
Yeah, definitely include it for sure.
Okay. That's good to know.
So just up, because the advice I'm going to give you is going to, like, literally you can copy and paste my words to everything. So let's just focus on this top one. And then whatever I say, abstract that to every other bullet point you have here. But I'm a huge fan of, I like narratives, right? And human beings in general, I'm assuming whoever's looking at your resume at some point will be a human. We like stories, right? Like storytelling is part of our DNA, right? So as much as you can inject a narrative or a story into your resume as possible, it'll only help the reviewer make a deeper connection with this piece of paper that's in front of them, right? I hope what I'm saying makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And before we started editing it, I had like a sentence just to preface each of the bullets saying like this, like elaborating, like this was the problem. This is why I went about doing this. Like,
okay,
you can see support tickets spiked without a reason. And then
I don't know if you can see it because we're sharing an application, but
but I had that, and then for the sake of space and condensing.
Yeah. Well, you could still use that narrative to your advantage, but condense down space. You just got to get really strategic with it. So one thing I would say is like have that narrative open up, right? You can say, as a technical solutions engineer, I had the opportunity to engineer solutions for problems across multiple areas of the business, primarily this, and this, right? Whatever, right? Don't worry, this is gonna be recorded. You can have all this.
Oh, great! Okay,
awesome. This will be on podcast and on YouTube, so it'll be up by Sunday. So,
okay, thank you.
So definitely like have that little bit of narrative, right? And you can say, as a solutions engineer, I had the opportunity to engineer solutions for, well, that's kind of redundant. Don't say that. As a technical solutions engineer, I had the opportunity to work on a wide number of problems. I had the opportunity to solve a wide number of problems, some of which included whatever you want to put up, right? I would go for the ones like, so for that top bullet point, first recipient of the Gong Foundation Award, mentor a 7-person solutions engineering team. So like for me, like as a data scientist, hiring for a data scientist position, like I would remove that because it doesn't clearly connect your experience to what I'm hiring for. By all means, talk about that in the interview, right?
Okay.
Good point.
Like when they talk about how you work on teams, you could be like, actually, I'm such a good team player that they gave me a fucking award for this, right? So talk about that in the interview by all means, but it doesn't need to take up real estate on the resume, right? Another thing I would say is, so 3x5 card, right? Simple 3x5 card.
Yeah.
On the blank side of it, write out star S T A R, and you're writing it vertically, right? So you're holding the 3x5 card the long way, and vertically you're writing STAR so that they're evenly spaced across this 3x5 card. And then under each thing, right, situation, task, action, result. So just use a couple of bullet points to describe the situation, right? And I want you to focus only on the projects that you can answer questions about: left, right, center, upside down, inside out, right? Only those projects should make it to your resume. That should be your threshold, right? Because if it's on your resume, it is going to become a topic of conversation, right? So you never want to be in a, like, this has happened. Like, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and people have put shit on their resume, and I asked them about it, and they would literally say, oh, you know what, that's such a long time ago, I don't remember what I did, blah, blah. Oh, you know, I just put that there because someone's right. You don't want to be in that position. People actually do that. So don't be that guy. Have that be your threshold, right? Like, only put stuff that if they were waterboarding me, trying to get the truth out of me, like I would give them all the information, right? They'd be happy with it. They'd completely be able to reconstruct my project, right? Have that be the first threshold for what you include on your resume. Second threshold is, okay, if every bullet point you have meets that criteria, then what am I most proud of, right? Because you might have stuff on your resume that, you know, if you had to rank order these 3 bullet points, like if you had to rank order all your bullet points, right? What would you chop off, right? What would be at the bottom of that list? Chop those off, right?
Yeah.
So those are two simple criteria to help you figure out what you need to put on your resume. Sorry, you're saying something?
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like what you're saying is that it's better to have fewer and a little more of like a storyline arc and be able to talk.
Yeah.
Great. Have an hour-long conversation about one specific bullet than to have a bunch of things you've done and hit a bunch of keywords and show that you have experience, but not, like, maybe they're not quite as fresh, so they're not as.
Yes, exactly. 100%. You like spot on. 100%.
Then like this section right here isn't as fresh and as detailed as a previous internship. So what it makes sense is to delete that, because, like, especially because it's freelance.
Yeah. So I would do a quick restructuring, right? I would put the personal projects up top, experience on the bottom, and then whatever is trailing, like for example, data and technology consultant, if you can just put one line, right? Like for example, like my first job out of grad school as an actuary, like that was damn near 10 years ago, right? Like I literally do not remember shit from that time, right? Mostly because I was at the pub every fucking night, but like it was just so long ago, right? I don't remember anything. So my one line is I was part of a small team of statisticians that researched the applications of generalized linear models for warranty pricing. Like that is literally all I remember from that job. So I just put that one bullet point, right? So if anybody ever talks to me about it, I can be like, okay, well, I know about generalized linear models. We could talk about that, and I know how we were using warranties. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory what I was doing, but I could talk about that at a high level, right?
But that's a pretty big resume change to shift that experience below the personal projects.
Yeah, but what do you think is going to get you hired? What's the first thing you want people to see, right? So, like,
directly applicable.
Yeah, because how do people read top to bottom, right? So if I read top to bottom and I'm like technology solutions engineer, like, okay, well, first of all, I got no clue what the fuck that title means. And, going down through that, right? Have the projects up top.
That's a very good point. And one question I had, Harpreet. So although I wanted to remove this right here, this freelance project and this intern, because it's SQL and subqueries, it's not as effective as these keywords here. I don't want it to seem like there's just one work experience. I don't want there to be 3 projects and just one experience and nothing else.
I think it's less of a problem if the projects go above than.
Yeah. If the projects go above, then you can talk more in detail for projects, and then the experience comes below. One of your experiences is more lengthy, and then the other 2 just have a sentence or 2, right? So scroll down to that bottom one, that intern position.
Yeah.
Right here, right?
Still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could just have no, pull it back up. Wait, where'd it go?
No, it
disappeared.
Scroll down.
It's at the bottom there. Yeah. So like, for example, here, right, you can easily condense, like, this was a long time ago, like 4 years ago. You can in one sentence just say, I optimize SQL queries for this, and this, right? And just leave it at that. Right. You can say, as an intern, my responsibilities included optimizing SQL queries, subqueries, and making effective use of the case statement. I got, like, you know what I mean? It's just one sentence, right?
Yeah.
Like, clearly I don't SQL too much, but that's, one sentence, you can get the gist of what you did.
Got it. Okay. I think that makes sense. So I guess we have a good direction now. When we're going about revising this, I think we know what to do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cool. No problem. Got time for one more question. Well, yeah, two minutes left. So I got to go to the Apple store, pick up a trackpad and a keyboard. So I got this riser up, right? And this is good because I could sit straight now instead of having to like move my chair. Like, it's good for posture, but I have to like type like this, and like that's not good. So I had to go buy a trackpad and a keyboard, so now I can just like do stuff normally with normal posture. That shit cost $300, man. Yeah.
On the topic of gear, what microphone do you use?
So this is a ATR 2100. So that's what I use here, ATR 2100 for the microphone. These are Sennheiser over ear open back headphones. So these plug right into the mic. This is helpful because I could hear myself talk, and I like to think that it prevents me from saying and stammering as much.
Really? That's a cool idea.
Because I have another set of headphones that I use just to listen to music, but when I was using those are noise canceling, so I couldn't hear myself talk. And I'd go back and listen to recordings, and I would just hear myself say so much. Since I switched to these, since I'm able to hear myself talk, I'm more conscious of.
Oh, that's cool.
Of stuff, like, instead of saying or I'll just pause.
Have a silence, yeah.
Yeah, and then continue on. Yeah, it's been quite helpful in that respect. And then my laptop's just MacBook Air.
Because I'm considering either starting a podcast like you, but not on data science, or a YouTube channel, and either way, required equipment is audio related, like a microphone, because your phone can take good quality video or decent quality video, but you need to have good audio in order to produce anything.
Yeah, so ATR 2100 is like $100. Like, people will talk about like what's that thing called, the Blue Yeti or the Snowball or something like that.
Yeah.
That people will talk about that, like, oh, that's the number one microphone you should get, but you shouldn't do that. Microphone's complete shit. Like, I've got like 3 podcast books, and I went through the recommendations for the 3 books to see what was common amongst those, and it was this mic.
Oh, interesting.
Cowcub is unmuted there.
Before I forget, I wanted to let you know that Nick also has been listening to your podcast, and he will soon have some feedback.
I'm a big podcast And I subscribe to like 4 data science podcasts and now 5, including yours. So
Nice.
after I listen to it a little bit more, I'll let you know any comments I have.
Definitely, man. Just make sure that your comments, if it is less than a 5-star review and negative, that you please just talk to me about it first before leaving it.
Have a conversation about it, not in the app store.
All right, cool. But yeah, definitely let me know. Absolutely, man. So my podcast is more than just a data science podcast. When I first started, it was lives and journeys and stories of data scientists, but it's slowly been morphing into a self-development, personal development podcast for data scientists, because that's really my main area of interest. So I've got a good mix of other topics on the show. So there's a bunch of data scientists on there, but I've got episodes released recently. Like the one this Monday was all about how to become a better public speaker.
Oh, cool.
And that was with Brendan Kumarasamy. He did he has a YouTube channel called Master Your Talk, and he's super, super like elegant with the way he talks. Like we had this segment where I just gave him a random word and he did like a 3-minute speech on a random word.
Oh, that's cool.
Without missing a beat. And he talks about how you could do the same thing for yourself. So that was really good as well.
Does he have a book?
He doesn't have a book. He has a YouTube channel called Master Your Talk.
Master Your Talk. Okay.
I need that.
Yeah, he's really, really entertaining, really helpful. Couple of weeks.
Good reminder on the review. It was on my list, but I totally forgot. 5-star review coming up.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. A couple of weeks ago, I did a interview with Anderson Silver, and he wrote a few books, but wrote books on the topic of Stoicism. So an introduction to Stoicism episode out there. I got a interview with Alex Pang. He's done talks at Google. He's been on Ariana Huffington's show. He's been on Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's show. So that was really cool for me.
I was listening to his talk today, or your interview with him today.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that was really, really, his book is amazing. Rest is such a good book. But yeah, that was really big for me to have him. I did Scott Young. He wrote the book Ultra Learning.
Oh, haven't heard of it.
That book is huge. Scott Young's been on like Jordan Harbinger's podcast, so he's huge. Got an episode about emotional intelligence for data scientists.
That's huge.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got an episode on how to be a freelancer. So
something else I'm curious if you have any experience with or know. I've been researching it recently is graph learning. There's a bunch of outdated books on it, and started reading one, but it's like 500 pages and didn't know if it was going to be worth the read. There's also one coming out later this year that I saw. I was thinking about waiting for that because it's an O'Reilly book.
Within the context of graph theory, it's huge, but it depends on which context you want to learn it for. Like if you're learning it for networks and like social networks, I think that'd be an interesting application. Like I know nothing about graph theory, but I did pick up a book, and the book is called Connected.
Connected or Linked?
This one's called Connected. It's
interesting. I want called Linked too.
Okay, this one's, the author's name is James Christakis. No, Nicholas Christakis. Yeah.
Did you read it?
I haven't read it yet. No, I haven't read it yet. I've got I always like to have some books on my bookshelf that are left unread to remind me how much I don't know.
That's a good point.
So it's just a bunch on there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit I don't know. Eventually I'll get to. But yeah, right now I'm reading this book by Srinivas Rao, The Art of Being Unmistakable. So I'm reading that one. These are my books just for like to get me through. So there's Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. So got Marcus Aurelius Meditations.
I'm reading that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Then Mastery by Robert Greene.
Mastery. Interesting. He has like 48 laws of power, and what else?
He's got 48 laws of power, 33 strategies of war, the laws of human nature, and the art of seduction. Yeah, I've got all his books. I got all his books for a good reason. Let's just let's put it at that.
Yeah. I read a couple chapters of Laws of Power and instantly saw how that manifests in like the corporate world.
Yeah. Yeah. Like his book's legit, man. His books are legit. Earlier this week, I interviewed Donald Robertson, who wrote How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. So he wrote a book about Marcus Aurelius, about the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius. So he's been on like Ryan Holiday's show and stuff like that. So he's huge. So that was big for me to interview him. I interviewed Jeff Chrysler, who wrote a book with Dan Ariely. Dan Ariely wrote Predictably Irrational. Who else did I interview? I interviewed Keith McCormick. He's got a bunch of LinkedIn classes. He's huge in data science. I interviewed Paul Thagard, who is a cognitive scientist and philosopher. We talked about the meaning of life, and then we also talked about like AI ethics. So he has this.
Important topic.
Yeah, he took. I can't remember what the oath is that like doctors take, but that oath that doctors take, he mapped it. Is that what it's called? Yes, Hippocratic Oath. Then he mapped that to AI. AI ethics. Wow. So that'll be an interesting one. Had an interview with Nir Bashan, who wrote The Creator's Mindset, Christian Bush, who wrote The Serendipity Mindset, Fred Pellard, who wrote How to Be Strategic.
How do you choose your guests? And also, I think you mentioned you read a couple of books on podcasting. Like, how did you figure out how to do it?
So I'm just a student of everything, right? I literally I went through every single book on my shelf and emailed all those authors, and surprisingly a good majority said yes. So
cool.
And so I pick the authors based on just things that I'm interested in, right? So for example, like I'm interested in game theory, and I think data scientists will find game theory interesting. So I have an interview coming up with Kevin Zollman, he's been on Big Think, and any talk on Big Think about game theory is most likely him. So he wrote the book Game Theory and the Art of Parenting or something like that. So
I don't know what your listenership is like, but they're okay with you just reach out to them, and I'm sure your cold pitch is outstanding by now.
Yeah.
But you just reach out to them, and then they say yes, or maybe later, and then you have them on the show.
Yeah, I'm just persistent as hell. So yeah, so that's how I just reach out to people.
But it doesn't matter. Your listenership probably isn't in the millions of downloads every week or month.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, someday it will be. But yeah, it's just I just find people who I find interesting, and I've read their book, so I'll come out with an insightful comment.
A bunch of books on health and wellness related topics, and I have my list of 50 people I want to reach out to. But I thought in order to reach out to them, I'd have to have a huge audience of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people for them to be interested. But sounds like
just go for it. Like, what's the absolute worst that could happen? Okay, so you could not reach out to them, and they'll not be on your show. Okay, or you could reach out to them and they'll say no, and they'll not be on your show. So both courses of action result in the same thing. Or you could reach out to them, they'll say no, and then maybe when you're bigger, you'll email them, and maybe they'll say yes, and they're not going to even remember that you emailed them when you're smaller, right? So like, there's literally no downside for going for it.
The only thing I see is that I don't want to waste like the initial learning curve of like learning to podcast and produce audio, video content on the people that I'm like so interested in. I want to be a polished machine by then.
Yeah, so that's why I dumped 15 episodes from my first, like on one day. Day one, when I released the podcast, it was 15 interviews. And by the time, and I interviewed just people that that I knew, like people from Data Science Dream Job, a couple of LinkedIn famous data scientists, just to see what happens. And I practiced on them.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
Yeah. And then I just
progressively got better. It's really easier because like how often are they getting interviewed? Probably not very often.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was definitely way easier. And and then you just get like Seth Godin has a lot of free content out there about how to be a podcaster. Jordan Harbinger got some stuff.
No, he's like daily inspirational, 100, 200, sometimes 400, 500 words. I didn't know he puts out content on being a podcaster.
Yeah, he does. He has this podcast fellowship, which is interesting. And yeah, I mean, just every person that you look up to in the podcast space has done somewhere or other talks about how to be good at podcasting from their perspective. So you should consume as much of that as possible, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like Tom Bilyeu is my guy. Like I love that guy, right? And like when I look at who I want to become as an interviewer, I look at Tom Bilyeu, right? Because I'm like, all right, cool, I want to be like him. So what the fuck does Tom Bilyeu do? Well, he's talked about it. Let me go find all the times he talks about his process for interviewing, and let me just try to do my cheap imitation of that and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I know that he does a shit ton of research, so I will too. I will read every book, every blog, everything. I know he does a killer introduction, so I will too. I know he does his show notes super comprehensive, so fuck it, I will too, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about who I'm trying to, become as a podcaster, it's like, okay, well, I'm not trying to be like Kyle Polich from Data Skeptic. I'm not trying to be like Kirill Eremenko from Super Data Science. I'm not trying to be like Miko Yuck from whatever her podcast is called, Analytics on Fire. Like I'm not trying to be like them, right? Like I'm trying to be like Tim Ferriss. I'm trying to be like Tom Bilyeu. I'm trying to be like them, right?
Yeah.
So let me model my game after what they do. Like, dude, like, do you know who Jordan Harbinger is?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I'm just gonna pull something up. Like, I've been having conversations with Jordan Harbinger for like the last two, like, kind of full-on conversations. You look at my messages here, and here's Jordan Harbinger, and it's like, yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
we're actually like chatting.
And this is through your podcast?
No, this is just through LinkedIn, right? Like he made a post about Scott Young. I was like, oh, actually, I interviewed him too. But yeah, like he's.
Oh, I see. So you saw a relevant post and then you reached out to him. He's like, oh.
Well, he reached out to me first, right? He reached out to me, and I was like, I don't fucking know you, dude. I just thought you were cool, and I like your work. Like I don't know you personally, but I admire you, and yeah. So we started like talking and stuff. So now it's like, all right, now my move is this. I've been
like having your podcast and reaching out to people and interviewing people gets you another degree of connection to a ton of other people, and that's a cool corollary benefit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I asked Jordan Harbinger about how to be a better interviewer. He's like, actually, I just released a course on Friday about it. It's on this app that's dirt cheap. Go listen to it, right? I've listened to it and it's awesome. Now I'm going to come back to him and be like, you know what? That course was fucking awesome. I learned so much. I would love to have the opportunity to take what I've learned and use it on you.
Right? That's cool. Then you also can become a case study of his.
Yeah, right. And it's like, because like I've been engaging with him through DMs and stuff like that, that opportunity happens. Like I don't just text him like randomly like, hi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
But yeah.
The biggest thing for me, and I'm curious your take on it, is how do you avoid information overload? Because it's so easy to have your 15 podcasts, your books, your people you want to take their courses, all these different things. And there isn't enough time to go through all that, plus articles and newspapers and whatever else in a day. You have to like be conscious about how much you consume so you're able to actually create as well.
Yeah, you only do the things that are going to serve your larger goal, right? Like any action I take, like is it going to help me complete or make me closer to my vision, right? Mm-hmm. If it isn't, then I'm just not going to do it, right? So like
say there's like a book, an article, a podcast, a course on becoming a better podcaster. How do you choose between those? And how do you know how much time to put into each of them?
Yeah, I mean, like I go into my time management schedule, I guess. So like I'm up every morning at like 4:30, right? And I'm down here in this basement and I know exactly what I do every morning. So I have a structure and a routine in place. Like every morning is exactly the fucking same, right? And after I'm done with whatever morning routines, like for the next hour, I'm reading, right? And typically the reading I'm doing is dictated by the guest I have coming on my show, right? Right. So like I'll have their book right there on my desk. So I'm ready to interview them, right? Like I'm taking in all their information, taking notes, compiling my notes, and yeah, preparing for the interview, right?
So then how do you also like, I get that, but how do you also like brush up on the meta skills of life, like interviewing? or other things. Like you're probably not going to be reading a book about interviewing that your next podcast is going to talk about. That would be pretty unlikely.
Talking about, I've got the book, The Art of the Interview by something Grobel, and I just implement it, right? So for me, first of all, I interview, like this is the 23rd of the month. I've interviewed 17 people already, right? So I interview a shit ton, and I'm a mentor at Data Science Dream Job. So I talk to people all the time, and I've started a new kind of format for the podcast called Conversations, where they're less formal. So now it's an opportunity for me just to have conversations with people who I think are cool, right?
Cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So it's just any opportunity, like you just trust me, man. If you have clarity on vision, if you know exactly what it is that you are trying to accomplish, then you will make things fit together the way you need them to accomplish that.
Great advice.
That's all it takes.
But I don't want to hold you any longer because you need to get to the Apple Store.
Yeah, I need to get to the Apple Store like at 6 o'clock. I have to pick it up, so 15 minutes. But thank you for the questions. I really appreciate it. Like last week, people were asking me about my process as well for the office hours. So if you want to know more, listen to the office hours from last week. It's up on the podcast. But I love it when people ask me about stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for all your time, Harpreet.
Yeah, take care. Have a good weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. Take care. Bye.
See you. Bye.